Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down the big ideas. And today, wow, are we looking at a big one. It's basically the blueprint for a complete revolution in how we power our entire world.
You know, for the last 100 years or so, our energy system has been pretty simple. Kind of static, right? Power flowed one way. But all of that, it's changing, and fast. We're literally in the middle of one of the biggest transformations in energy history. We're moving towards this intelligent, interconnected ecosystem.
So, where does this all begin? It starts with a really fundamental shift. We're leaving behind that old 20th century model, the centralized fossil fuel-based system that, let's be honest, just isn't fit for purpose anymore. And we're moving towards something way more dynamic and sustainable.
Think about it like this. The old grid was basically a one-way street. You had these huge central power plants just pushing electricity out to everyone, and we were all just passive consumers. But the new grid, it's a whole different ballgame. It's a dynamic network. It's a two-way street where energy and information flow in both directions. This is huge because it turns us, the consumers, into what people are calling prosumers. We can actually generate our own power and sell the extra back to the grid.
And listen, this isn't some pie-in-the-sky idea for the future. This shift is happening right now, today. Renewables already make up over 30% of the global electricity mix. And get this, that number is growing way faster than even the most optimistic predictions from just a few years back.
Okay, so you've got this new distributed world, but what holds it all together? Well, it's something called the smart grid. And this is the magic sauce, really. It's the technology that makes this whole system work in harmony.
And it's not just about, upgrading poles and wires. It's about laying this incredible layer of digital intelligence over our entire energy infrastructure. What that does is it allows the grid to sense, to communicate, and to react to changes in supply and demand, all in real time. It's a game changer.
And one of the key pieces of tech making this a reality is something called a virtual power plant, or VPP. I love this analogy. Think of it like an air traffic controller for energy. It uses these super smart algorithms to basically group together thousands of little distributed energy sources, and it gets them to act in perfect unison, just like one giant traditional power plant.
So what kind of resources are we talking about here? Well, we're talking about the solar panels on your roof, the battery in your garage, or even your EV plugged in outside. VPPs are what connect all these individual things, turning them from just personal devices into active, really valuable parts of the whole grid.
All right, so we've got the intelligent network down. But what about the actual clean power that's going to run through it? Let's take a look at the generation tech that's making all this possible.
And of course, we all know the big ones. Massive solar farms, those towering wind turbines. They are the absolute powerhouses of this revolution, and they're just getting more and more efficient every single year. I mean, some of the new offshore wind turbines can hit capacity factors over 50%. That means they're cranking out power more than half the time. Incredible.
But this brings us to the big question. Maybe the question in renewable energy. What happens when the sun isn't shining and the wind isn't blowing, right? How do you guarantee a stable, reliable supply of clean power 24/7? This is a massive engineering challenge.
And a really fascinating part of the answer might come from a new generation of advanced, small-scale nuclear reactors, SMRs for short. Now, these are designed to provide that consistent, carbon-free backbone of power to support renewables. And the crucial part here is they have what are called passive safety systems. That means they can shut down automatically with no human help needed, which could make them a super reliable part of the future grid.
Okay, so generating clean power is one thing. That's a huge step. But storing it for when you actually need it, that's the next critical piece of this puzzle. And this is another area where we're just seeing a massive technological explosion.
And it's so important to remember that not all batteries are created equal. We've got different chemistries being developed for different jobs. Take LFP batteries, for instance. They're amazing for their safety and super long lifespan. We're talking ideal for huge grid-scale storage. Then you have NMC batteries. They've got a higher energy density, so they pack more punch in a smaller space, which is exactly why you see them in so many electric vehicles. And then on the horizon, we have emerging tech like sodium-ion batteries, which could be a more sustainable, low-cost option because they use materials that are just everywhere. But what about storing massive amounts of energy for a really long time? I'm not talking just hours. I mean, for weeks or even months. Well, for that, hydrogen is emerging as a really powerful solution. You can have these systems that use all that extra solar and wind power to create clean hydrogen. You're essentially bottling sunshine to use whenever you need it. It's pretty cool.
Okay, let's recap. We have the clean power sources, we have the ways to store it,
But how on earth do you manage millions of these different things all at once in perfect harmony? Well, that's where AI steps onto the stage.
And we're not talking about some simple computer program here. In this world, AI is like a vast, predictive intelligence. It's the digital conductor for the entire grid. It's constantly processing millions of data points every single second to predict demand, manage supply, and just keep the whole complex system in perfect balance.
So, this incredibly complex job AI has, we can really break it down into three main gigs. First, it's a forecaster. It predicts what energy supply and demand will look like in the future. Second, it's an optimizer, making sure every single thing on the grid is being used as efficiently as possible, right now. And finally, it's a harmonizer, constantly balancing the whole system to keep it stable.
Let's talk about that forecasting for a second. By pulling in things like satellite images and weather data, AI models can now predict how much solar power is going to be generated with over 97% accuracy. I mean, think about that. That gives grid operators an unbelievably clear picture of their future energy supply.
Then there's optimization. AI algorithms can boost dispatch efficiency by over 18% and slash operational costs by up to a quarter. That's huge. They also seriously cut down on something called curtailment, which is basically just wasted energy that gets generated but can't be used. And how does it do all this? By making millions of tiny, perfect decisions every single moment.
All right, for our final section, let's put it all together. Let's see how all these pieces, the generation, the storage, and the intelligence, combine to form one single, cohesive system.
So here it is, the blueprint in its simplest form. It's a seamless flow. You start with diverse, clean generation, solar, wind, SMRs. That energy then gets stored, either in batteries or as hydrogen. Then it's distributed through that intelligent smart grid we talked about. And the whole shebang is orchestrated by that AI conductor.
And really, if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. None of these technologies are working alone. It's not just about AI or just about batteries. It's the convergence, the coming together of artificial intelligence, renewable energy, and intelligent infrastructure that's really creating this massive energy revolution.
So that leaves us with one final thought. We've just walked through the technical blueprint for the future of our energy. All the pieces are on the table. The real question now is, what are we going to build with them?